आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, the world is in denial, but I think Trump has just announced that he's taking over Greenland completely, and he doesn't expect the Europeans to put up a fight. What has he said? He has threatened the use of excessive force. You know, the Western media, they've got it all wrong. They don't know how to understand what a person means. The New York Times, Washington Post, they don't understand what has been said. They're saying that force is off the table. They're 100% wrong. Force is on the table by saying that he does not want to use excessive force. Trump is actually saying that if he doesn't get Greenland, he will use excessive force. The problem with the Western media is that it's sold out even to Trump. What has Trump said? He said, if you say yes, I'll be appreciative. That is to give Greenland. If you don't give Greenland, we will remember. Again, in the backdrop, the excessive use of force. He says we are a great power. We showed what we can do in Venezuela. Fourth example, he said we need the right title and ownership of Greenland. Ownership of Greenland. You see, the Europeans are a weak continent. They can do nothing. They have been run over by illegal immigrants. And today they are weak economically, they are weak militarily. And today, look at the words Trump is saying. He says, I want the ownership of Greenland. Who will want to defend a piece of ice? If there is a war, most of the fighting will be on that piece of ice. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a declaration of intent that he's ready for war with the Europeans. The weak Europeans will write in their papers that no, Trump has taken force off the table and we will negotiate. The fact is they've already caved in. Ladies and gentlemen, he has also said, I want the immediate discussion on the acquisition of Greenland. And then said, we've been treated unfairly by NATO in the past. 6 clear, unambiguous threats. Give me Greenland or face excessive military force. Now, do I have any sympathies for NATO, for the Europeans? Absolutely not. The Europeans have been the biggest opportunists, the biggest imperialists, the biggest colonizers, the biggest slave traders. The people who thought that they owned the world, from the Portuguese to the Spanish, to, of course, the British, and to the Dutch. What the Europeans are getting back today is their karma. Ladies and gentlemen, they were the second lieutenants to the United States. And the British always said, we have a special relationship. And therefore, together, they did what they did in Libya. They did what they did in Afghanistan. They did what they did in Yugoslavia. They did what they did in Bosnia, in Herzegovina, and around the world. And together, they went in and took over parts of the world as junior partners of the Americans. All they wanted was a little part of the action, a little part of the profit, a little part of the land. They wanted a little bit of the money. And Trump is reminding them today. He's reminding them, don't forget that you and I together launched a force in Afghanistan. Ladies and gentlemen, they didn't think when they entered Afghanistan, when they exited Afghanistan. They did not think twice when they made up a false story about the weapons of mass destruction. When they did what they did to Gaddafi and to Saddam Hussein, their own creations, ladies and gentlemen, but they did what they had to, and without a doubt, they did it. Ladies and gentlemen, today, if it's Trump versus NATO, Trump has gone to Davos and torn apart Article 5 of the NATO by saying, I want a total and complete purchase of Greenland, and warning NATO that who wants to defend that hunk of ice, that piece of ice. He has basically ripped apart in Davos, before all the European nations, he's ripped apart Article 5 of NATO, which is the cornerstone of an alliance which says that an attack on any one of its ranks must be considered to be an attack on all. Ladies and gentlemen, NATO is today over. It's defunct. It's finished. It's destroyed. It doesn't exist. That's a reality. And Trump has said, come, give me my cash. I spent money defending you. You brought down your defense bills. Pay me back, give me Greenland. Or face excessive force. And today, all the Europeans today, they are outgunned and agitated. They are weak and angry. I said a few days back that the world is today divided not between right and wrong, but between weak and strong. And this is a lesson for India too. The fact of the matter is, America has 5,300 plus nuclear warheads. Europe has 515. America has 20 aircraft carriers. Europe has 6 or 7. Europe has 5,000 aircraft. America has 15,000 aircraft. The US economy is much, much bigger than the Europeans. And today, the fact is, America's growth rate is faster than that of Europe. Everywhere you go, people laugh about how the Europeans don't want to work, that there is no entrepreneurship in Europe, how Europe has been taken over by illegal immigrants from all over the world. So we may be upset and angry at what Trump has done, but Trump is doing what he's doing because he can afford to do it. He's not trying to be popular in Europe. He's trying to be popular in the United States of America. Now, it is very unfair. The way he talks, he's rude, he's abusive. But to go to Davos and call the Europeans stupid in their face, not once, not twice, but 3 times. In different contexts, he has called them stupid people. And then said, I'm taking Greenland. If you stop me, prepare for a war on that piece of ice. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say one last thing about the media. The Western media are a bunch of liars. They are putting out a headline today saying Trump has taken force off the table. No. Even by saying so, they are trying to give a consolation prize to themselves. Trump has put force on the table and said, don't force me to use force, but I'm willing to do it if you don't give me Greenland. The shoe pinches on the other foot. The colonizer is now being colonized. The Dutch must remember their own history. The British must remember their own history. The Spanish, the Portuguese, everyone who took over different parts of the world for slave trade and for profit. Europe is being colonized today, and they can't believe what just happened. Well, they can go back and read the history of their own imperial past. Let's debate.
We never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland, where we already had it as a trustee, but respectfully returned it back to Denmark not long ago after we defeated the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians, and others in World War II. We gave it back to them. They have a choice. You can say yes, and we will be very appreciative, or you can say no, and we will remember. No nation or group of nations is in any position to be able to secure Greenland other than the United States. We're a great power, much greater than people even understand. I think they found that out 2 weeks ago in Venezuela. All we're asking for is to get Greenland, including right title and ownership, because you need the ownership to defend it. You can't defend it on a lease. Number one, legally it's not defensible that way, totally. And number two, psychologically, who the hell wants to defend a license agreement or a lease, which is a large piece of ice in the middle of the ocean where if there is a war, much of the action will take place on that piece of ice. Think of it. Those missiles would be flying right over the center of that piece of ice. It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land, this giant piece of ice, develop it and improve it and make it so that it's good for Europe and safe for Europe and good for us. And that's the reason I'm seeking immediate negotiations to once again discuss the acquisition of Greenland by the United States, just as we have acquired many other territories throughout our history. as many of the European nations have. They've acquired. There's nothing wrong with it. The United States is treated very unfairly by NATO. I want to tell you that. And when you think about it, nobody can dispute it. We give so much and we get so little in return. Going to people who don't appreciate what we do. They don't appreciate what we do. I'm talking about NATO, I'm talking about Europe. They have to work on Ukraine. We don't. The United States is very far away. We have a big, beautiful ocean separating us. We have nothing to do with it. Until I came along, NATO was only supposed to pay 2% of GDP. But they weren't paying, most of the countries weren't paying anything. The United States was paying for virtually 100% of NATO. And I got that stopped. I said, that's not fair. But then more importantly, I got NATO to pay 5%, and now they were paying, and now they are paying. So something nobody said was possible. They said, we will never go up higher than 2%. But they went to 5%, and now they're paying the 5. They didn't pay the 2, and now they're paying the 5. And they're stronger for it, and they have an excellent, by the way, Secretary General, who's possibly in the room. Mark, are you here? Yes, he's here. Hello, Mark. We never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. This afternoon, I want to discuss how we've achieved this economic miracle, how we intend to raise living standards for our citizens to levels never seen before, and perhaps how you too and the places where you come from can do much better by following what we're doing, because certain places in Europe are not even recognizable, frankly, anymore. They're not recognizable. And we can argue about it, but there's no argument. Friends come back from different places. I don't want to insult anybody, and say, I don't recognize it. And that's not in a positive way, in a very negative way. And I love Europe, and I want to see Europe go good, but it's not heading in the right direction. There are windmills all over Europe. There are windmills all over the place, and they are losers. One thing I've noticed is that the more windmills a country has, the more money that country loses, and the worse that country is doing. China makes almost all of the windmills, and yet I haven't been able to find any wind farms in China. Did you ever think of that? It's a good way of looking at it. They're smart. China's very smart. They make them, they sell them for a fortune. They sell them to the stupid people that buy them, but they don't use them themselves.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have played those sound bites so that all the people in the Western media who are saying that Trump has taken force off the table start understanding English again. Trump has put force on the table, and he said, Saurabh, that if there's going to be fighting, that fighting will happen over that piece of ice. There'll be missiles flying over that piece of ice. And he has said, I am ready to use excessive force. And then he said, I want the title of Greenland. Joachim, I think you guys don't want to, don't.
If I can just
yeah, I don't know why the Europeans and a section of the American media are saying force is off the table. It's just been brought on the table. It's an open dare. Saurabh.
Yeah, Arnab, let me say it, which is a follow-up of your discussion we had with you on your previous show. Clearly, President Trump's doctrine here is that of neorealism, where force that includes military power is part of his core strategy, coupled with economic power. He's a deal maker. What he's trying to do by signaling the Europeans is that, you don't have the capability to take on Russia or China. I'm going to do the job for you, but you're going to pay for it. But in this case, he realizes that Greenland is essential pivot, because this is what, based on a strategic briefing that he has been given, that if your golden dome has to succeed, if you want
No. Yeah, I'll get into that later. Saurabh.
Yeah.
I'll get. One minute. Saurabh, one minute. I'll get into that later.
Okay.
Just that there are some people today who are still in a sense of disbelief, who feel that Trump is going to talk to them, there will be a negotiation, etc., blah, blah. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm a member of the European Parliament, Mr. Per Clausen. He represents the Danish party, the Red-Green Alliance. He's live from Copenhagen in Denmark. Did you see how he spoke to you, as in spoke to your country? He said, give me Greenland, or be prepared for consequences.
I think it's not new that Trump has threatened us. He has threatened us in some years, and I think we have to respond on it very clearly. We are saying you would not get Greenland, and the most important reason so that you don't get Greenland is that the people who lives in Greenland, the Greenlanders, don't want to be a part of the United States, and I think it's very, very important to say that. Trump said nothing about the people in Greenland. You only talk about a bunch of ice, and he tries. It's really quite right. But I think we're saying no. And I also say now we from Europe must say to Trump that we have also some thing we could do which could harm the United States. If you
but they're not saying that. I mean, you didn't expect that.
Now there will come economic response from Europe because.
You
Trump,
expect
it not only threatens Denmark and Greenland, but it threatens all of Europe.
Yeah, but what economic response is there ever going to happen from Europe right now? So far, there has been no statement, nothing very significant. I don't see.
No,
I don't see any response from Europe.
I agree that the European leaders until now have been weak and not given the right response to Trump. But I think there is a possibility now that we will do it because we have something we could do.
No.
For example, lots of United States debt is in Europe. We could sell it. We could say to Trump, we want to make a transaction about oil and gas in other countries than the United States, dollars. We could stop for delivering United States services and all things to
but that
to
will be but that's a we could situation. The fact is, let's be very, very realistic out here. To say we could is one thing, but time is running out. I want to bring back Ravi to this discussion. Trump has brought military force as a bargaining chip within NATO. He's threatening the use of military force. He's saying, if you say no to me, it will come with consequences. Right? We are a great power. We will do to you. We will do in Greenland what we have done in Venezuela. And he has signaled that he is willing to attack a NATO ally and capture capture it.
If you want to make a military attack on Greenland, if you want to kill Danish soldiers, French soldiers, German soldiers, we will see. But I think until now, Trump is doing, he has threatened us and he make economical threats to Europe. And I think in the first, we could make two things we have done. The first, we have sent soldiers to Greenland, and in other places, the thing we could make response on his economical threats. And I am not the man who decide everything in Europe, not at all. But I say the situation now in the European Parliament is that people are very angry, and I think Trump could risk that he's a man who strengthen Europe and
for that, Europe will have to be united. But is it? Raymond Vickery, former United States Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Trade, is Europe united enough to take on America? How do you think Europe will respond?
Well, thanks very much for having me, Arnab. President Trump is an expert at creating an alternative universe, which really does not exist. His background for 14 years as a reality TV star honed those skills, and he has once again demonstrated that approach to leadership, which is really not leadership, in his speech at Davos today. I think it's important to understand that Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, is not the United States of America. And the falsifications which have been spread through this speech and others are numerous. He did not win the 2020 election. He has not solved inflation in the United States. But worst of all, of course, is what you are talking about in regard to the rule of law and some semblance of ability to wage peace through cooperation, which has existed since World War II. Imperfectly, yes, but there have been principles for it. And what he's done, of course, is completely jettison those as a throwback to the old-time definition of greatness, which is, can you build an empire? That was a definition of greatness for Alexander the Great, Peter the Great, for the empires that you have spoken about from Europe. The problem with that approach, or one of the problems, is that sooner or later empires rub up against each other and you have world war. That's what's happened in the first part of the 20th century.
Raymond, just a moment, please. Let's take this morality off the table. Let's stop trying to talk about all this in moral terms, because Lyndon Johnson didn't do anything different in Vietnam. Republic or Democrat, you all were together in Vietnam. You all were there. You didn't blink twice when you entered Afghanistan, when you exited Afghanistan. When you overthrew Muammar Gaddafi, right? And at that point of time, NATO provided 60% of the assets for the operation in Libya. So, we remember the 78-day bombing campaign in Yugoslavia in which thousands of people died. So let's take morality off the table. America has never been a morally upright country. You have supported dictatorships. You've overthrown governments. The CIA has specialized in regime change. It has been made into a perfect art form. So you must not try to appear to play victim and say we are dealing with something very different. Trump is not different. He just talks too much. Our other American presidents are the same. There is no difference between them. The fact is now we let us deal with the real situation, Raymond. The real situation is, can Europe do anything? Can Europe do anything? That's the real question. If Europe, India does not bother, China will not bother, Russia will not bother, Brazil will not bother, South Africans will not bother. The big countries don't bother. It's a fight between the Europeans and the Americans. Can the Europeans push back? I think they can, but I don't think they will. Ravi, what do you think? Does America expect a pushback?
I'm afraid that your show will become an America bashing show, and it really ought not to become that. This entire discussion and the direction it's going is anti what we just saw and heard with our own eyes in Davos. Trump.
What did you hear, Ravi, which I didn't?
I heard him say that America is from Europe. Whatever the ills of Europe were in the colonial era is what America was born from to correct. The American Declaration and our Bill of Rights is an answer to Europe's mistakes throughout history. So you can't lump us together. Second, NATO is stronger today. In fact, NATO exists because of the United States, and NATO is stronger today because America is saying, we're not going to attack one of our own allies. That's off the table. I mean, the fact that people were thinking and people were giving them all sorts of pejorative comments in the EU Parliament, it doesn't do well for Europe to do that. Without America, there'd be no Europe. Without America, there'd be no Asia. Okay? Without Europe...
Without America, there would be no... 1 minute. Ravi, what did you say?
Hold on.
Oh, hello. Just stop there. 1 minute. Ravi, listen. Ravi, listen to me. Just relax for some time, okay?
No.
1 minute. Now. Ravi, listen to me. Ravi, originally your forefathers came from a great civilization. call it the Indian civilization. Be quiet, be quiet. You represent a country, you've got citizenship of a country that is 200 years old. Don't describe a 200-year-old country with ancient civilization, whether that be the Indian, the Persian or the Chinese civilizations. You guys didn't exist, man. What are you talking about? Just because you've got a Yankee accent doesn't make you a civilization. Now, I don't want to be rude with you. I don't want to be rude with you. You're not, America is not, was not, and will never be a civilization. That's your inferiority complex. Do you understand? Now I'll say things to you straight. Don't say these things. Don't say stupid things to make Trump happy. Listen, there are only old, the Japanese civilization existed, the Chinese civilization existed, the Persian civilization existed, and the Indian civilization existed. Where was there ever a civilization in Western Europe and America? America is a 200-year-old country. Come on, you didn't give people right to vote till a few years back. Come on now, Ravi, don't get me. Don't overdo it. You got a drubbing in Afghanistan. You got a drubbing in Vietnam. You made your pop singers sing, dainty little songs about how bad it was to be defeated. You've never really won a sustained battle anywhere outside your country. You overcommit and underdeliver. Don't ride the right horse. Don't try to ride the horse of Donald Trump. You're riding a tiger. You won't be able to get out of it. Let me tell you one thing, Ravi. Now, 1 minute. Ravi, listen. Ravi, problem is you went to America, but the problem with the Americans is they don't know how to speak English. Indians speak and understand English better than the Americans. Now, let me tell you one thing. I saw a very different speech, which you don't want to see. I saw a speech in which he didn't say, I will not use force. General Bakshi, I'm on 1 minute. General Bakshi and Einar Tangen. He did not say, I will not use force ever. He said to the Europeans in Davos, I don't want to use excessive military force. Give it to me, respectfully give it to me. I don't want to. He didn't say I won't. 1 minute. No, I'll pull the tape back.
Okay?
No, I'm on what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm on what I'm saying. Ravi, listen. He said, I have shown how big a power. He has said how I've shown. Ravi, yes, Ravi, be careful. He'll come and ask for ownership of your house also. No, Ravi, Trump will ask for your fancy house in New York also. He'll take your house also. And he'll say, better give me that house, Ravi. I don't want to use excessive force against you. And then you will walk out of your house. You will walk out of your house and you'll say, what a peaceful man. Will you do that, Ravi? No, Ravi, no, 1 minute. Will you do that?
You're mistaken.
No, I'm not mistaken. I heard someone's English.
India.
General Bakshi. No, we are all right. We are enjoying this. You guys can fight as much as you want. We're loving this. An ex-colonizer and a future colonizer fighting with each other. Great, have fun. What problem do I have? General Bakshi, how are you reading this? How did you read the speech? General G.D. Bakshi.
Arnab, it is a very poignant, poetic justice. Europe, the continent that despoiled the rest of the world, colonized the world, robbed resources from the rest of the world, is today at the receiving end. It is quite poignant, poetic justice. But that apart, talking of where are we heading, the simple fact is that the Arctic trade routes are opening. The ice is melting. And that will be a major flow of commerce going through the polar ice caps. Therefore, America wants to have a ring seat, number one. Number two, America wants to have its golden dome. And for that, the satellite early warning systems, the missile early warning systems will mostly be on Greenland, which is almost geographically an extension of the Western Hemisphere into the Arctic. That is the military requirement for which Trump doesn't want to get involved in niceties. He doesn't want to get involved in civilities. He's saying, just give it to me or else. Give it to me or else. It was as clear as that. And there is the Europe. I mean, I am now surprised, Arnab. What is the pathetic state to which Europe has reduced itself to?
Exactly.
it fought that, it sort of participated in the Ukraine conflict. And if there is one set of countries that have been economically ruined, it is the Europeans. The Russians are better off today than when the war started. The United States has been selling weapons. It is better off than the war started. They've both made economic profits. If one set of countries that have been ruined are the European countries, because their natural geographical linkages with Russian energy were uprooted, torn apart, and they have had to pay an economic price. They have been taken for the biggest ride that one has ever seen in history. And the pity is these people can't see it. If they had any sense, they would stop that stupid war in Ukraine. But now they want to, tell the Americans, no, we are with you, we'll play 5%, whatever it is, don't dump us. It is pathetic. I mean, as a man who's very fond of history, it is pathetic what Europe has come to, or has been reduced to. And they still don't seem to realize. They still think they can suck up to Donald Trump and, play ball. You should have seen the way he was holding a master class in Washington with all the Europeans lined up in front of his desk. I don't know how much humiliation the Europeans are prepared to swallow. But I would think it is now quite enough. It's quite enough.
But we're not seeing a realignment either. You see, General Bakshi wants to say, we're not seeing any global realignment either. The Chinese, for example, are just watching, doing nothing. Maybe they are going to use this as justification for taking over Taiwan, so that the moral justification goes away. Maybe it's an understanding. I clearly see some, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, because in April, what if Trump goes to China after taking over Greenland? And then the Chinese tell him that, listen, we're taking over Taiwan, fair and square. Let's start all over again. Einar, that's the way I see things going. What do you think?
Okay, so from China's point of view, they do not view what the U.S. former colonial powers in Europe do as right. They think that there is perhaps a different world order, a civilizational world order, and that is something that they share with India. That it's not about what you can do and hammer and kill and take and bomb. It's about consensus, about growing the pie, about having the ability for countries to be respected for their sovereignty, to have a path to development, to be secure, and to have a global system that uses talks rather than tanks. So, you can't just always assume that a new power is going to be exactly like the old power. Remember, the general's describing 600 years of ravages of colonial powers who just went around insisting that they had the right to take anything. Now, many of those same powers are experiencing the other end of the stick as a new power tries to colonize part of their area. China's not trying to colonize anything. They do want to trade. They have to trade because they have very low resources per person. They have a large population like India's. So there are two different perspectives. One is win-win, let's make the pie bigger. The other one is zero-sum. I'm going to take everything I can.
And he's going to take Greenland, without doubt. Do you have any doubt in your mind, Tatiana, that he's taking over Greenland right now?
He really, really wants to. And we've seen just how well things actually fall into place when he really, really wants something. I mean, he really wanted the Nobel Prize. Did he get the medal? Yes, he did. And, at the end of the day, it's not always about how you get what you want, right?
Yeah, but listen, I mean, America bought Alaska from Russia. You forgot that? For $7.2 million, to be precise.
Wow. Wow.
America purchased Alaska for $7 million in 1867. Why? Do you find that funny?
Look,
didn't the Russians sell Alaska?
We discussed that the last time. You said there's going to be boots on the ground.
No, I'm just giving you historical facts out here. I'm saying here the post-1945 world order is dead. This is 2026.
Correct.
People are going to change the world map in the next 2 years. My prediction: China will take Taiwan. America will take Greenland, what will you get? What will the Russians get?
Oh, we're getting ours.
What? What are you getting yours? You haven't got anything out of Ukraine yet. Okay, so you're saying there's an understanding. Okay, so that's what I said to you the last time. There's understanding with the Russians that you take the parts of Ukraine, Donetsk, other areas where you've brought in your army. The Chinese take Taiwan, the Americans take Greenland. Everyone's happy and goes home.
I'm so sad that I wasn't part of that conversation.
You were.
I wish I was.
You were.
I would so love to be part of that conversation, to be in the room when they decided that, if they decided that.
Well, I don't know, why is Putin so excited about America taking over Greenland? What's Putin's game in this? It's almost like he can't wait for America to take over Greenland. He said, oh, no, it's very serious. Trump is very serious. Let me tell you, it would be wrong to assume this is an extravagant rhetoric on the part of Trump. No, I can tell you, Trump is very serious about it. Don't forget, Putin went on to say that in the 1970s, the American administration had actually considered the possibility of annexing Greenland and Iceland. But the idea failed at that point of time, Putin says, because of lack of congressional approval. And then Putin went on to say, sounding almost like an American spokesman, he went on to say, like a White House spokesman, he went on to say that in 1910, in fact, a deal was made between Germany and Denmark, and Putin said that America would have got Greenland in 1910, but unfortunately the deal failed. Now, the fact of the matter is, I can't think of any person more excited about America taking over Greenland than Vladimir Putin. And I want an answer from you, Tatiana, not one kind of satirical half smile, looking away and pretending that you can't hear me. You can hear me fair and square. I've given you quotes and examples and historical fact. You know, I really don't know. I mean, I thought Putin was a strong man. He's sitting there, and America is saying, listen, these Russians are very bad. I'm just going to take away Greenland. And you're sitting there and clapping away, hoping that you get a piece of Ukraine. I mean, if you fought for Ukraine, if your soldiers died to get Ukraine, you get it on your own merit, not holding Trump's hand. You want Trump to take you to the victory table? You want Trump to take you to the victory table, Tatiana? Tatiana, you're on weak ground tonight, and you know this.
Just wait for you to finish yelling, okay?
I'm not yelling at all. I'm just responding to you factually with more facts than you've got. I'm just saying here, I don't know what the Russians are doing. Yeah, go on, carry on.
Come on. So let's take the facts here, shall we? Our president loves history. You know that. He actually does these history remarks a lot. What he did, he reminded the world of the history. He reminded the world that it's not a precedent. That is not the first time the US tried to get Greenland. And yes, we know that Donald Trump wants to get Greenland, and we know why. Because, again, a lot of natural resources, lots of oil, lots of rare resources.
Yeah, but why do you have to make a justification? What are you guys doing?
Why do we, and I asked you this the last time, I'm just very curious, why do you feel like Russia should care about Greenland?
It cares.
Or you don't need to care at all. You just need to see Trump taking it over.
If I may.
Yeah, okay, I know. Because just was one point, I know before you come in, because Trump referred to China and Russia's probable interest in Greenland about 7 times in Davos today. You should at least respond to it.
Donald Trump said Vladimir Putin has gone crazy, and then he met him in Alaska, and then he said many, many things. He does talk a lot. Whatever he uses as pretext for getting to his goal.
I know.
Just 1 second. The reason that Vladimir Putin is cheering on Donald Trump is he knows that if Donald Trump does go into Greenland with force, it will be the end of NATO. In 2007, at the Munich Security Council, he said he was dedicated to overturning the global order that was run by the United States because it had humiliated and lied to Russia. So this would be the perfect part. Well, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I do believe that's the only reason he would be cheering on Donald Trump in an aggressive action that would end NATO.
First of all, I would not say that this can count as cheering on. That's for one, you know. Again, reciting history and cheering on, two very different things. Second of all, I don't believe, and I honestly do, you can quote me anywhere on this, that this will be the end of NATO, because at the end of the day, NATO is the US. So whatever the US does, NATO will swallow. It is an American alliance. It is going to continue. NATO doesn't exist without US troops and without the US financing. That's it. So they will swallow whatever that Donald Trump does or does not do.
Joachim.
No, please, let's come down to earth, Arnab. The first lesson of his speech is, this was what I call the last wake-up call to the Europeans. The old NATO is over. We have to create a new one to look for. And first of all, let's say, Europeans have to defend themselves. And we need a new Europe taking or facing this new world order, if you want. Otherwise, the Americans and the Chinese will put us aside as they will put aside.
I have some breaking news which is coming in, Joachim. Very big breaking news. Very big breaking news. Breaking news now that the European Parliament has suspended all work.
Yes.
Has suspended all work on a trade deal between the 27-member European Union bloc and the United States, following Trump's speech, where he demanded to take control over Greenland, which it says is a semi-autonomous Danish territory. So the first signs, Ravi, of the Europeans fighting back. And Germany is not taking part in this board of peace on Gaza, whatever it is that Pakistan has agreed, but Germany has refused to be part of it. So Ravi, it's not going to be one-sided now.
Arnab, you know, you're right about one thing, that post-World War II order is in trouble and is being replaced. But I want to suggest to you that Winston Churchill in 1946 admitted that in his Sinews of Peace speech, which was fondly known as the Iron Curtain speech.
No.
Listen.
Ravi, just sorry, one minute, sir. Ravi, see, what's happening here is that this speech was a bit too much. See, it was insulting. It was deliberately humiliating, and you expect...
It was a love speech.
No, you don't do this. See, the thing was, and what happened today is that all the lawmakers of the European Parliament have decided to pull the plug on the EU-US trade pact. And interestingly, you have the Europeans here this weekend. Mr. Perklos and the Europeans are coming here this weekend to sign a India-EU huge, what is being described as a mother of all trade deals.
I think what the situation is that Trump wants to make United States great again, but I think he will make United States alone, because nobody can trust Trump and nobody can cooperate with him, and therefore we have to cooperate with others. And you are talking about the India treat, and I think it could be a good thing, and I hope we could manage it. I hope so. But because I think what we must learn in Europe is that we are not so weak that Trump are talking about us. We have a strong economy. We have, in a matter of fact, a lot of production of weapons, which we sent to Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Israel, and that's very stupid. We should have some for our own use. But I think we could make a lot of trouble for the United States if we want on the economical. And as you said now, I suggested this for about 14 days ago, that we should stop working with that treaty with the United States because of Trump. And now we have decided it. I think it's very, very good. And I think it should not be the dance we will see here from Europe, because we are tired to death by this threat from Trump. And I agree, some of you are saying it's not you. The United States have made lots of aggressive things about other countries in the world, and I agree. But now the United States not only talk about threatening South America.
I don't understand what is being said, Arnab.
Why?
When Trump says no military force.
Ravi, what is it that you don't understand? What?
Now the compound from...
How is that a threat?
I think it's very good. It's been absolutely tough.
How is what a threat?
when Trump says, I will not use force, why is that a threat?
Okay, can I explain to you, Ravi, because you don't seem to understand it, please. Okay, let me tell you something. I'll try and speak to you in absolutely baby language, okay?
Please.
Okay, suppose China says, I'm not talking about, or Russia says, that we are not going to use any force. We have tremendous force, we have big missiles, we have ICBMs, we have rockets, we can destroy, we can wipe out New York, where Ravi Batra is seeing off the face of the earth within 5 minutes. But you see, we just want New York. We want New York. We want, listen to me now, one minute. Okay, we want New York. 1 minute, Ravi, we want New York, but we are not going to use our big, beautiful missiles. We are not going to use our big, beautiful missiles. We've got them already. We can use them if they want, but we want New York. And at that point of time, someone says, what is the problem? Has he threatened the use of force? No, it's about territorial sovereignty. Don't you understand? The Europeans have to decide very soon, Raymond, whether they want to give up their territorial sovereignty or fight for their territorial sovereignty. No, it's a territorial sovereignty issue. It's a territorial sovereignty issue. You can call it a hunk of ice.
Is not going to follow Arnab's predictions. I'm telling you.
Okay, well, let's see what happens. Einar, I am not doing anything like that.
Can I chip in?
Saurabh, don't take the middle line. There's no middle line here.
No, I'm not. I have to give you a real line. Listen, Arnab, even at the cost of disagreeing, I doubt very much that Donald Trump is going to go to war on Greenland. I can tell you, sitting here in Washington, D.C., there are domestic compulsions. He has to win the midterms in November. There are
that's why he needs it.
Who don't want a conflict. He'll do a deal, yes. He will put pressure on the Europeans, but if we go to actual war, I will beg to differ on that. I don't think that's going to happen. There are domestic compulsion he has. He will continue to raise his shock and awe strategy. That's a part of Trump.
That is drama. But
I doubt very much whether he's used.
Einar, Saurabh says these threats are not going to be followed up. What do you think?
Well, we hope not, but the fact is, he said he wanted it. I mean, he pressured the lady who got the Nobel Peace Prize, or let's put aside whether she deserved it, and he actually got the medal from her. Tatiana says sometimes it's not how you get things, it's whether you get them. I do think that he is capable of changing his mind on a whim. He has said many times when he was in the lead up, before he bombed Iran, he said, no, I'm not going to bomb Iran. No. Put all his forces into play, and then he bombed Iran. So it's not unusual, and no one believes that Donald Trump speaks the truth all the time. I'd love to hear your guest in Washington as to whether he would continue to support Trump in the event that he did go into a country of 50,000 people and take it over forcibly.
General Bakshi, war game this for War game this for us. So what are you thinking? There are about 100,000 U.S. Army personnel across the European states, European Command, U.S. European Command. There are 31 persistent bases, 18 other military sites, all over, from Germany to France, everywhere. Can Europe fight back while all these forces are on their own soil? Can Europe...
Absolutely not, Arnab.
No, they can't.
And more than fight back physically, it is the will to fight which is very important. They aren't showing any will to fight, for one. But what is very disturbing, Arnab, is the impulsiveness. All the policies emanating from Washington are impulse-driven. There are a lot of analytical power, brain power in the United States, in the think tank, State Department, CIA, etc., etc. But we found that in Venezuela, he went in, yes, he grabbed hold of Maduro and his poor wife, but he hadn't thought it through. His oil companies are refusing to go there. He doesn't want to put boots on the ground because he'll get body bags. So as long as he can bully his way through, he'll do it. but he is not prepared to put boots on the ground. Let us be very clear. Then he picks his enemies, the weakest pansy states, to bully around, to, push over. I would love to see him trying to do the same with either Russia or China, peer group military powers. He, not one boot on the ground in Ukraine, not even a no-fly zone, nothing. Because he knows what the score is. But
the Europeans have also behaved. The Europeans have also behaved in quite a disgraceful manner. I remember what Mark Rutte said. I don't know, Raymond, you heard that. He called Trump daddy. He says, Donald Trump is my daddy. I mean, he is, what is he? He's from NATO, right? He says daddy has to use strong language to get them to stop. He said that in the context of Iran and Israel. Now, Trump went to Davos and says NATO thinks I'm their daddy.
And he's the former Dutch Prime Minister, Arnab.
There will not be.
But you're dealing with a crazy man who puts out his WhatsApp exchanges with Emmanuel Macron. Saurabh, you got to realize it's not a normal fellow.
So you saw the message that came out from the Prime Minister of Portugal. If that is true, then on the side, some European leaders are also doing a side deal with him. I cannot confirm the veracity of that message, but that message also came out. So that's what I'm saying, that you're dealing with a president.
But you heard what Mark Carney of Canada said. He said middle powers must act together because if we are not at the table, we are on the menu. He said that. No.
It's a new era of geopolitics. You and me today, when we are sitting on this show, we are witnessing history unfolding in a different manner. Power has to be defined by global countries all across the globe. What he's trying to signal is every country, whether it's India, whether it's China, whether it's Europeans, that you have to create a power center around it through military power, through economic power. I would say that this is a message for everybody else. That today, our doctrine, your alliances are dead. Multilateralism is dead.
That's okay, but final question does. Wait, 1 minute. Okay, simple question.
Arnab, America is the big daddy of NATO, by the way. It's a historical fact. Okay? It's a fact.
Arnab, the fact of the matter
America is the big daddy of NATO.
Europe gave away its economic sovereignty the moment it went along with the economic sanctions and refused Russian energy. That is very simple. They depend on American energy. They buy American gas, they buy American oil, and should that stop, it is winter. I know it's not as cold in India, but right here, for instance, in Moscow and in Germany, it's very cold. You can't not warm up your house. So, at the end of the day, it is very, very simple. It is, again, about the money.
Well, I think if you're saying that the Europeans gave up their sovereignty a long time back, that's what you're saying. The Europeans gave up their sovereignty a long time back, and it's too late to complain. They accepted a lopsided trade agreement. Joachim wants to add something there. Yes, Joachim, I'll give you the last word. Yeah.
Europeans have to win it back. The Belgian Prime Minister said yesterday, well, let's see what's better, to be a happy vassal or an unhappy slave. And I think this has been the last wake-up call to the Europeans. Wake up now. The old NATO is over. The new EU has to begin rapidly, a new form, and look for, let's say, another relationship with the US, with China, with Russia, with others, and with India. This is the real moment, I call the moment of, let's say, birth of a new Europe. And if the Europeans do not wake up now, well, too sad for them.
Well, when you spoke of slavery, I just wrap up with 3 words. So funny, so strange, so ironical, that the once colonizers now face the prospect of slavery. The more things change, the more things remain the same. Ladies and gentlemen, on the other side, on popular demand, the entire speech of Donald Trump. Hear the words, hear the intent, and then you write the headlines yourself. That's what I'd like. See you tomorrow. Good night. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
For a quick breather.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDA चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDA चटनी पुदीना मसाला।